All right, so in this video, we're going to focus on taking the stuff that we found in the last session and trying to get it pulled out or extracted so that we can see what it actually is. Now, if you remember, and if not, you can go back and look at the previous video. We discovered, we did a filter that looked, for example, something like this. That was one of our first filters, one of the first two. And we discovered that in the traffic on port 8080, there was a GET request for a file named exploit.jar. And what we need to do is figure out what the heck that exploit.jar is. And there's a couple of things, and I'm kind of passively teaching you new filters as we go through this. But I can do, for example, TCP contains exploit.jar, and I can see just the packets that have that in it, and it allows me to see basically the entire octet stream. So for example, I could right click this and say follow stream, and I could see the GET request and what actually happened in the format that it's encoded as, which would help us for extracting it if we were doing it in a more manual way, but also using that same concept. All right, let's use that filter. We can follow HTTP stream. All right, and you can see that it essentially gives us the same thing, but with a little more breakdown of the back and forth with the traffic. Like we can see the class coming down, etc. So we know there's a couple of parts to it. So what we're going to focus on is getting this thing out and then trying to see if it's malicious or not. And then in the last video with the Wireshark piece here, we will actually look at how to break this exploit.jar down, how to decompress it, and look at the applet and see what's actually inside it. But for this one, we just want to get it out of the traffic and see if we can get something to tell us if it's bad or not. So the easiest way, or one of the easy ways to do that, is if I go to export objects in HTTP, we can find that exploit.jar file in here. All right, let's just go down. And there it is right there. That's where that stream starts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select it. The first one here will be good enough. And I'm just going to say save. And we can put it, this is a okay location. Hit the wrong save button. Yeah, threat hunting intro is a good place. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now you could do save all as well, and it would save all of that, but we got our exploit.jar saved, which is what we wanted. And now that I've got that applet out here, one of the things that I'm going to do is we can take that and go to something like VirusTotal. Let's do that. Now another thing too that we're going to eventually do is actually bust open this file and look at it and maybe even put it in a sandbox and execute it to see what it does. But just taking it, and we can try putting it on VirusTotal here. It's going to be right in root in our threat hunting directory. We want the exploit.jar, and we can try putting it here and see what they say. But you can see that right away, a lot of them detected it as being something bad. This says something with Metasploit. This says backdoor shell, which is right. It's all those things. This is a Java agent. It is that too. This just, Silence just says it's unsafe. But I mean, you can see they all say something bad about it. Now, what should be of interest to you is you can see that some of the engines come back and say, well, we didn't detect anything wrong with it. But the majority of them say it's bad, right? So we get it. Okay, we know that that's the malicious part, or that's the malicious thing that came down. Now we just need to figure out exactly what it is. And what we'll do, in the next video session is we'll actually take this .jar file. We'll look at a way to extract it out. And first of all, look at the class that came with it and see what it's doing. And also maybe even look at putting it in a sandbox, launching it to see what it actually tries to kick off. And what we're going to find out, I can tell you, just in short here, what we're going to find out is it kicks off this three-way handshake to port 443 that we saw earlier in the videos. All right, that's what it actually ends up kicking off. And that is what sent this three-way handshake, which eventually led to, the command shell, which gave us all this stuff that if you can remember seeing in the previous, one of the previous videos. So that's it for this video. This is just a short follow-up. I wanted you to see the next step after we've identified what might be malicious. This is how we carve it out, or one way to carve it out. And we'll look at several other approaches to this as well. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And practice the skill of extracting stuff out of traffic. I think you will find it valuable when we get into the actually detecting horizontal movement in an environment.